Sananda. What to do when everything is done. God's blessing on earth and God's light on humanity. The days unfold their power and people become aware of their own power. What was conceived in the dark is not realized, for the realization of human potential creates a different reality. It is not a dream, it is not an illusion, it is not the wishful thinking of some dreamer, but it is the bright future created by people of goodwill. Certainly, there are now obstacles to overcome, attacks to neutralize, and many things to master, because elements cast out of life want to assert their power in this world. JJK. Today I dreamed I was in Bosnia. I met a light worker there and received a light healing session. The Bosnian pyramids remained imprinted on my mind during the dream and after waking up. Sananda. Expansion of your duties, healings for you, even in places with which you have been deeply connected in different incarnations. The pillars of light of the Bosnian pyramids are being activated more strongly, so that direct exchange with beings of light becomes possible for more and more people. You were present with the Master of Light on this day of healing to accompany this process and to tune into it. JJK. It's fascinating. I already felt an incredible lightness yesterday. I wrote 3 messages for the book, Heaven Answers, Volume 2. All the heaviness I sometimes feel because of certain developments in the world has vanished. Even today everything feels somehow freed. That's probably the best definition, yes, freed. Sananda. While many people are passing through a valley of tears, those who have opened up to their own unfolding will see their vibration rise. These people are experiencing a new lightness amidst the great upheavals. In sharp contrast to most people who refuse introspection, energy can flow freely in those who are accustomed to working with themselves in a grounded way. The fewer blocks, opinions, beliefs, or burdensome karmic ties a person has, the more stable their body, mind, and soul are. #sleep as a healer JJK. And sleep. Right now I could sleep 10 hours a day, yesterday even 12. Sananda. Deep sleep is the great medicine of these times. In sleep, the soul frees itself from the body and enters realms that remain inaccessible to humans in everyday consciousness. Many healings happen during sleep, because the parts of your spiritual family that are not incarnated are ready to provide you with everything you need in your current incarnation. JJK. Can we also make a conscious request before falling asleep? For example, I often ask to travel to the crystal cities to recharge my energy while sleeping. Sananda. Yes, ask and it will be given to you. For those who go to bed tired in the evening, weighed down by daily life and crushed by worries, sleep comes to their aid. Soul and body can experience strengthening or healing during sleep. Always feel encouraged to communicate your problems and worries openly to the beings of light in heaven, to the angels, and to your spiritual family. A great blessing lies in this, and many miracles are made possible only through this direct communication. Seek closeness to your spiritual family in heaven as well as on earth. This is the source of happiness and nourishment for the soul. #disbelief, JJK. Earlier you said that the dark plans would not be implemented. Why is it often so difficult for me to believe this? Because when I look at current developments, the situation looks completely different. Sananda. You, like everyone, are intimately connected to this reality. For a person, it always means a conscious decision to adopt a broader perspective and consider developments as a whole. In everyday life, like many people, you sometimes lose sight of this. This creates this disbelief. To correctly interpret these snapshots of current events, one must step out of individual worries and perceive the big picture. More and more people are acquiring this ability, and this process, which broadens people's perspectives, is unstoppable. Spiritual consciousness is taking up more and more space in every individual. Not only souls, but also current events are illuminated with greater attention. JJK. What should I do if in everyday life I cannot see what messages, like these, they convey to us? Sananda. If you cannot gain a broader perspective, wait until the fog clears and you can see and perceive clearly again. Waiting and expecting, instead of acting and reacting, is what you should do when everything else is already done. Honored are you, human being, who have given your life to God and dedicated it to the light. You are loved for eternity. Lady Portia. Humanity must enter the consciousness of God's presence on earth, souls of light and love. To you who are in the Almighty of creation, I greet your presence in this earthly life path, in this space of experiences that you have created for yourself, through you, and even within you. I am Lady Portia. The path you are walking, the path of energy and light that crosses the earth is beginning to emit its first hyperluminous rays in the circumstances of your existences. We have told you and repeated the necessity of an awakening humanity, the desire we had to accompany you, the path of victory that you have pronounced. All of this we have said many times. In this month you are going through, heaven must show its presence. Humanity must enter the consciousness of God's presence on earth. Whether it is in physical form, metaphysical, in a form you define as catastrophic or not, I ask you and do not worry. I understand there is much nervousness in those moments when you feel within yourselves, in every fiber of your being, in every fiber of your body, how close you are to something immense, something great, something that will proclaim the new era that has begun. I insist, the new era has begun. This month will lead many people to position themselves on the light or the shadows, you will say. Now, I do not agree with that term. It is about conscious light or the expectation of light. That is how I will clarify it, since those who choose to be passive, inactive, not to react to current events, these sooner or later, will end up seeing and understanding. As the masters of ascension often say here, blessed is the one who opened their eyes first. This one, or that one, naturally, will be the first to be disturbed by all the revelations underway. We have already said it. That is why I want to enter the future a little, slowly, not too much, as we systematically do not have the right to reveal the totality of what you are going through. We have already revealed the essence. It is about revealing your light, revealing your capacity to love, renewing your capacity to act together and not react alone in your corner. The goal is this, to create, awaken, reveal a conscious humanity, a human humanity. Only for this we must also be aware of the corruption of souls that may have existed on your planet. This corruption, for money, for power, for envy, for desire, rather than turning towards a great friendship, an international sharing, a community of human souls living together. The earth for a long time, and I am already speaking in the past tense, the earth for a long time has moved away from the path and the way of God. That is, from a way that gathers to move towards a way that divides more and more. It is over. It is over. You still believe that the movement is ongoing. Most of you are still convinced that all this is not over, that it will still take many years. Perhaps in the facts you live, but not in the energy that crosses you. The energy that crosses you has already evolved. It has already changed. What you see are the shocks of a dying world that tries to connect with the last cart, to create the last circumstances of war, but your world no longer desires it. Your world is looking for unification. Here too, the last resistors to the light, those who resist the light will tell you, you are denying, dear guides. You invite us into a wonderful world that does not exist. No, I do not invite you. You are in a wonderful world that is already there, which is presented to you under a new light, in new forms. So, yes, of course it will take twists and turns, it will take international travel, international movements for it to move in appearance. In the energy, it has already been done. It has been many eons, millions of years, that a world in gestation like yours has operated back and forth between the light, the positive cycles, the negative cycles, as you say. There you enter something extremely rare. It is a positive cycle that begins, to use your terms, a positive cycle, above all, a positive interplanetary cycle that begins. This means that it is not so much about thinking only about the future of planet Earth, but rather a conjunction of existences, a conjunction of lives, a conjunction of inhabited planets that now arrives at a moment of revelation of the awareness of the presence of other beings, of beings who are sometimes on parallel planes and sometimes on planes more identical to yours. The arrival of the light is therefore the arrival of spiritual and galactic brothers and sisters. I repeat, the visibility of this will probably begin now for you in your vision. However, it has already begun for several years. This month marks an oscillation. What is this oscillation? An energy change that allows vision, a turning point of the heart that allows a greater opening to other possibilities, and then, a necessity once again, a call we have all received, in our beyond, as you say, in our elsewhere, in our dimension, a call to peace, a call to love, a call to the glory of heaven, a call to the rebirth of just values, loving one another. Loving one another is the right value. So I announce to you, even if my channel doesn't believe it, but the question arises, and why now, when I announce it to you, your time announces the return of the celestial Christ, the return of the light. And I don't even tell you that it is to be done, I tell you that it is done. I tell you that it is done. I tell you that it is now, it is in these times that you are living. I repeat, visibility for all will come in time. For everyone, and for some of you, your heart already knows what it is about. Your heart already knows the presence of heaven in all its forms, I repeat, visible and invisible. So yes, I am speaking as much about the beings you call extraterrestrials, and who, if authorized, will begin to place very important milestones in your world, as about the invisible beings. I am not announcing the landing of these aliens. I am telling you how much your nations will have to relinquish hiding many things about them. And when I say they will have to relinquish, it is obviously by force and not voluntarily, because understanding your humanity passes through two possible paths. That of earthly circumstances so great as to involve the entire planet, it is also underway. And that of understanding that humanity exists, a humanity that is united by the fact that there is something different from humans in your vision. Before, everything belonged to your science fiction, your books, your TV series, but now it will begin to break free. I told you and I repeat it again, until I am heard. The complete visibility of this for all human beings will begin some years from now. The disclosure will not be complete immediately. So when you come to say that I didn't tell you or that what I announced didn't happen, remember my moderation as well. When I announce this to you, it is also to tell you that their intervention is due to particular circumstances on planet Earth. It is due to the need to help, protect, preserve. Children of Earth, perhaps you should understand what the invisible world is before seeking to find your galactic brothers. Why do I say this? Because you have long imagined that we were pure, ethereal souls in another world, that we were finally a kind of diffuse information, a message, and not so much a messenger. Yes. And yet, one always imagines that the body is the most accomplished form of materialization of consciousness. Obviously not. I would even say that the body is a reduced extension of consciousness. I put the capital C. The consciousness. What do I mean to express here? For those who don't know me, I am a teacher, a tutor some would say. What I mean to say is that consciousness is not born from form, it is form that is born from consciousness. So, what you are now, what you think you are in this bodily reduction, is a densification of divine consciousness in such a small form, that you are forced to make efforts. I was about to say frightening to truly understand, that is, to extend the form, to extend your capacity to love. Our form of consciousness, goes beyond this bodily reduction. In truth, we are not so much beings of another plane as beings of what you would call your future. We are an evolved form of consciousness. This means that, in time, it will take thousands of years for you, so don't worry about this form, you will keep it for a long time. In time, the populations who live these incarnations, this possibility of living the experience in the flesh, are etheric. I don't know if this term exists on your planet, they are becoming increasingly conscious. In other words, you will need a body less and less to have experiences. As always, in planetary evolution, I say, as always, because I have experience of other planets, it begins with virtual realities, as you have already called them, possibilities of seeing the world through an interface different from that of the body. Therefore, yes, on this earth you will very quickly live experiences where you will be able, via costume or technologies, to evolve on planes, in experiences different from those of a completely physical, completely material body, and completely limited to a small space. Therefore, you will know for a certain period the possibility of ceasing to assimilate yourselves completely to the body. This is already the case perhaps for some of you, who have known what you call, I repeat, virtual realities. Within these virtual realities, you feel like another character, another person, and with other possibilities. Without letting yourselves get too involved in this game, that is, in the idea that the reality of consciousness can be shaped, it already allows you to access a state of consciousness which is, yes, I can move, I can exercise actions. I can interact with the world outside the form, outside the field of experience that the body represents. This is what begins. This is why I will speak of the divinization, etherization, spiritualization of your world from now on, from the end of this particular year for you. It begins in the energy. The great news, dear souls, is that a rather large percentage of a small percentage of your population has already reached this state of consciousness, this state of etherization, this state of dematerialization, no longer clinging to the physical body, no longer clinging to the circumstances of life that would be created by what plays with fears. All this is spiritualization. And then, the call of your galactic brothers is made precisely by this spiritualization, for the simple reason that, if there is one important thing you must understand, that you can understand in your galactic brothers and sisters, as you call them, it is that for them, the body, their physical body is actually only an envelope. They therefore live it, in the consciousness and in the knowledge that it is a temporary envelope, which allows for a temporary experience in a world that is in turn temporary. This increases the idea of working for something greater than yourselves, of working beyond the form, beyond their temporary form. This too, if one looks at the current earthly movement, is this movement that is underway. You are beginning to want to work for future generations, for their freedom, for their peace, for their well-being. In fact, for a while the company limited itself by saying, if I already have enough for myself, it's a huge thing. But no. You are entering something greater. You begin to understand that history and what it has left you are important and that they should not be erased in favor of a new reality, a new circumstance that would be, precisely, too virtual. Your history, what was there, is important. The values that this has left you and that have survived are important. Because if these values have survived, it is because they demonstrate how a people and a population can resist where they are, as long as every circumstance of life can create different values. Thus, relying on the strength of your ancestors and wishing to become these ancestors of peace yourselves, these ancestors of wisdom, even if the term is a bit overused today, you now desire to enter this history little by little, not to create a new one, but to perpetuate well what your ancestors have already begun, those who, now, are the consciousnesses of heaven that accompany you. Your ancestors occupy an important place in the rest of your history. What you are living on a planetary level is the return of the ancestors. In this way, the galactic brothers that you will see, I repeat, now or in relatively near times, a few years, perhaps a few decades, who knows, whatever it is, the movement begins now. Those you will see are also your ancestors. They are also people who had an earthly corporality a long time ago on your planet thousands of years ago. Yes, your ancestors are back. Consequently, those who come know that they have already been on Earth a long time ago, perhaps in a generation that lived this golden age. In fact, I repeat, the Earth, your earthly experience, constantly lives these cycles of golden ages and stone ages, oscillating between periods of technology, enormous progress, and then a kind of regression, only to rise again. Will we maintain consciousness? That's a bit of the earthly structure. Will we maintain this time, in these incarnations, in these bodies, the consciousness of who we truly are? The answer, I admit, until then was no. However, you have managed to find other planetary fields where this consciousness was more stable, and you will continue to evolve as souls on other bodily aspects. In any case, the galactic brothers who arrive, who are there and who will present themselves little by little, I repeat, are truly your ancestors. Yes, for the simple reason that in your body, some of your molecules, your DNA, you would say, especially the information contained in your body, comes from what they were in one of their incarnations. Consequently, those you see believing to come from other planets are actually your ancestors who incarnated on other planets. I invite you to live it this way, especially since it will create a different relationship with them. I also tell you that what we are in the afterlife is this too. I have been incarnated on your planet in many incarnations. Who tells you, dear brothers, dear sisters, that you are not my descendants? Who tells you that you are not, among the dozens of generations that succeeded me in my incarnations, the branch of my family? Why do I invite you to think this way? I invite you to think this way so that you can understand what Christ meant when he said, "We are all brothers and sisters." It was not just a religious brotherhood, even if they are very beautiful fraternities, but also an extremely pragmatic and concrete reality. You come from the same luminous branches of the universe. Find this consciousness now. Stop separating yourselves from who you were, I would say, and you will find a much greater and much more open consciousness. Dear souls, this energy month is important. It will ask of you an effort, a very slight effort, since this effort bears the name of compassion. This effort of compassion is to keep your heart open, not to close it, not to refuse, not to condemn too quickly, to observe this world, perhaps for a while, with a little more restraint, telling yourselves that the wanderings of the past will actually be the lessons of the future. They always have been. You yourself have experienced this type of wandering and have evolved. See it this way. See it this way. Condemning, imprisoning, judging everyone too quickly, is understandable from an earthly point of view. I too had these desires a long time ago. Furthermore, understanding that everyone will wake up sooner or later is important. What will you do with the people who will wake up from their prison? Will you leave them locked up? Will you condemn them again? Have you become so incapable of forgiveness, of compassion, that you now need to feel systematically guilty instead of taking responsibility for this energy that crosses the world? Compassion is what allows you to remember precisely. We are all brothers and sisters. Obviously, some of them are discordant. However, we are all brothers and sisters, and together we will lead those who have lost themselves to a greater openness of heart, to a greater mental openness. We will gather together, among brothers, among sisters, to reunite again in this space of the ancestors, to accompany the earth also in its divinization, in its spiritualization. Will we succeed this time in reaching a more stable state from the point of view of divinization? You will not know it from your living souls, dears. You will not know it in this body, but your children, your grandchildren will know it. So do not tell yourselves that your momentum, or starting now, is useless until you see the end. Follow the footsteps of your ancestors, each one of them. Perhaps some of your ancestors built the paths on which you cycle today, the lanes, the roads, the woods. This work was done for you. Remember it. I still see people crossing paths in thousand-year-old forests without remembering who traced those paths, and they cross them as if it were a duty, a normal fact. You see, compassion is also a weapon of gratitude. I remember. I remember those who built my country. I remember those who built these paths. I remember those who built these paths. Of course, some of them may have made mistakes. Of course, some of them didn't work well overall, certainly. Nevertheless, overall, unitarily, our family of heaven and earth has always progressed. We have never retreated. At this moment, what is going backward, if I may say so, is the sum of the virtues of this world. She is a little behind. It never lasts long because what you truly are, the divine being in matter, this spirit of consciousness, this consciousness that incarnates in matter and not a matter that creates a consciousness, that is you forever, and what you truly are cannot be enclosed for long, not even in a physical body. So it rises. So your energy, your frequency is so high that this world itself will have to align. I am not talking about the earth. The earth is much further ahead of you. When I speak of this world, I speak of the energies that touch each of you in this world, which therefore align with this plan of unity, with this plan of peace. Whoever still seeks today to create discord, seeks old powers, old territories, old conquests, he will have power for a while. Now the true power is that of the peace builders, not that of the warmongers, because those who seek brotherhood will know how to create a just world. Those who continually seek to limit your freedoms, under the pretext of defending a unique identity, will become so unique that they will eventually be marginalized by this world. Limiting freedom does not mean protecting it. So, to build freedom, to build peace, first of all by forgiving, working together, this is the movement of compassion that I am trying to initiate, to pronounce right now, telling you, blessed is he who already sees that everything is there. Blessed is he who feels that the words have already been spoken and are still being spoken. Those who give up on this under the pretext that the facts seem to be in contrast with my speech, I understand it, and if you oppose it, you are actually acting reluctantly, against your own heart. Understand this, children of light. Do not give up your victory. Do not give up who you are. Compassion is openness toward a great path. And this path is that of victory, of light, of unity, of a greater consciousness. You are evolving. I am not speaking so much as a human being, rather, almost as a species. Your bodies change, they adapt to this new light, to this new vibration, to this new DNA field that is being created. Even if some have tried to prevent this DNA from evolving, your energetic DNA takes over, fortunately. I say fortunately because your bodies will not be destroyed, on the contrary, your hearts will be built with it. Again, a heart full of love, a heart full of peace, a heart full of desire to love more, even more, always more. Children of Earth, this is my message of the day. I will try to answer some of your questions. Only a few. First of all, remember my main message. Enter into compassion, into forgiveness, into peace, into joy, into the new spirit. He is already here. Go and look for him in what is not shown to you and you will find him. You will find him. It will not just be a conviction, it will be a reality. This new world is already here. He is not the most visible one, but he is already there. As for your galactic brothers, from time to time, in the evening, take a look at your stars. Take a look, and you will probably see them pass. They will give you some undeniable signs from time to time, because they know they are your ancestors, and they know who you truly are and what the general human will is. They will try to protect you from as many events as possible. And the more you are aware of your brotherhood, that is, the fact that they were your ancestors, the more you will allow them to act in a common planetary work, which is not a work of destruction, but simply a work of harmonization, which is not a work of conquest, but rather a work of helping evolving little brothers.